The Al Khalifa trial continues for the 22nd day in a row, where the presiding judge, Antal Mnawar, is still closely listening to witnesses and defendants. The 10th Congress of the FLN party will wind up today with new provisions to the party's basic law. In the Yemeni crisis, heavy fighting has erupted in the southern part of the country near Aden Airport. Those were today's top stories. Thanks for joining us live on Dzair News. As we mentioned in the headline, and in the ongoing Khalifa trial on the 22nd day of court hearing sessions, the Blida Criminal Court's presiding judge, Antal Mnawar, is still closely listening to witnesses and defendants, with many of them facing charges of corruption, conspiracy, power abuse, and making a wanton use of VIP privileges. See Hamsaro and the details.
On the 22nd court hearing session, the criminal court judge Antal Mnawar continues listening to the witnesses despite the absence of many of them who are accused of corruption, conspiracy, power abuse and making a use of virus privileges. The presiding judge listened today to the testimony of Ghannani Mohammed Saeed, who was accused of corruption practices while he was working in Khalifa Bank manager from 2001 to 2003. He did not transfer the money to the bank but transferred fund surpluses. In addition, the witness Khayyat Mohammed, who was the general manager of a supply and ships company, who testified that his company made a deposit of 200 million dinars without remembering the current date of the loan deposit. Then the witness Al-Ammari Abdul Qadir, who has been the general manager for Larasi Hotel as from 1985, was summoned to the hearing. He was interrogated by the court's presiding judge about the benefits obtained from Khalifa Bank, arguing that they needed a percentage value of 12%. The second phase of the court session will carry on for the next 2 coming weeks. And on Monday, FAF President Mohammed Rawa is expected to stand in a much-awaited testimony before President Judge Antal Mnawar in connection with the case.
Today, the 10th Congress of the FLN party will wind up, with the conference ratifying yesterday by an overwhelming majority the basic law of the party, which included new provisions in addition to granting the party's Secretary General new powers by making him the official spokesman for the only authorized and appointed head of the parliamentary body and the Conservatives.
The ratification by majority on the party's primary law was what distinguished the second day of the FLN's 10th Congress, a law renewing political views and the general frame for the next 5 years, issued to embody the slogan of renewal and rejuvenation through dedicating a space for younger generation to enroll in the Deen party's different structures as well as determine political parameters. The new main law upgraded the number of the Central Committee's members between 455 and 505, adding members to the Political Bureau, given the development of several recent governorates. The initiated success of the Deen party was settled with the president's letter to the latter about the possibility of the party split into camps in what looks like Saadani's victory against his foes, remaining the only one on top of the party with neither a competitor nor a commissioner.
Still with the political national scene, the opposition parties here in Algeria have scheduled a new broad-based meeting for the 6th of next June at the Mazafran Hotel, west of Algiers, to assess the current political situation and to initiate some priority-setting goals for the next militancy phase. According to the leader of the Movement of Society for Peace, Abdelrazak Mokri, the planned meeting remains decisive for the consolidation of the unity of the opposition alliance. Siham Saro again.
A meeting will be scheduled for the 6th of the next June between opposition party leaders once again in Mazafran Hotel, west of Algiers, to take stock of the current political situation and to initiate some priorities, setting goals for the next phase. According to the leader of the movement for the Society for Peace, Abdelrazak Mokri, this meeting, he said, remains crucial for the unity of the opposition alliance. Furthermore, if the objectives of this projected meeting is to assess what has been achieved since the former date for their last conference held last June, it inexorably comes in response to what is happening in the other camp, the camp of pro-government parties. In the 10th FLN Party Congress, in addition to the sudden recent decision of the R&D party leader to step down from his post. In fact, all the indications reveal that the political opposition leaders have postponed their meeting to seize on the spin-offs of the FLN Congress. The Coordinating Movement for Democratic Change aspires to enforce their pragmatic policy. The latter believe that Mr. Abdelkader bin Salah's resignation opens a new door to the opposition parties for the next constitutional revision. Moreover, the leader of the movement of Society for Peace, Abdelrazak Mokri, said that pro-government party leaders' destiny is worrying, affirming that the current pro-government party is sturdily led what he called venal businessmen who have absolutely no relation with politics.
To the national health sector now. One of a kind professional context since the independence is being organised at each local centre in each province across the national territory. 80,000 doctors are taking part in this promotion context, where 36 majors are available. The context is going to begin with paramedics, nurses, midwives, anaesthetics. Let's follow this report by Karim Faz Zakri.
80,000 doctors are vying for a promotion contest. There are 36 majors available at each local center in each province. Paramedics, nurses, midwives, and anesthetists were the first who took part in the competition exam. As for the enrolled specialist assistants who have been admitted, they are going to be summoned on the 1st and 2nd of June in the Higher Institution of Paramedical Training in Hussein, Algiers. In related context, a statement from the Ministry of Health reads, "The organization of contests and professional examinations is the prerogative of the national centers concerned with this matter. This aims at securing a final resolved settlement of the sector's employee status in hospitals and put an end to definite contracts and turn them into indefinite ones." This contest is the first of its kind since independence, after long years of strikes by health sector syndicates which paralyzed the country in so many occasions. Such initiative has the goal of achieving peace in the health sector after 52 years of strife with the relevant ministry. The latter reassured lately that it will always keep its doors open for talks after responding to all the sector's employees' social and professional concerns as long as they comply with the law.
In economy-linked news, Algeria has recorded a $4.3 billion trade deficit for the first fiscal quarter of 2015. The whopping figure was released by the country's customs department and reported by local media outlets. Mohamed Barzwan and the details.
Algeria, an active member of the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries OPEC, reported a shortfall earlier this week. The country's customs department said in its report issued here in Algiers that the figure was a revision of a $3.4 billion surplus it announced last year. The main reason behind Algeria's deficit was a steep drop in oil prices began to crash late last year. This is the first official report to come out of the country showing the adverse impact of the oil price slump on the Algerian economy. Oil and gas exports account for around 93% of Algeria's total exports. However, this wasn't the case in the period from January to April, when crude oil and gas exports accounted for only 42.8% of the country's overall exports, according to customs figures. The decline of the country's oil and gas exports was mostly due to market glutting, as surplus oil in the world market barred some exporting countries from finding enough customers. In December, a report indicated that Algeria would post a $51.2 billion deficit in 2015 due to the sharp drop in oil prices, and the deficit was reflected in the annual budget bill, which was signed earlier this year by President Abdelaziz Bouteflika.
Moving on to our international news, and it is quite in Yemeni situation. Heavy fighting has erupted in the southern part of the country near Aden Airport, where forces loyal to exiled Yemeni President Abdurrabbu Mansour Hadi forcefully attacked Houthi militia positions in a push to drive the Houthi fighters away from the embattled district.
According to confirmed media sources on Friday, forces loyal to Yemeni President Abdurrabbu Mansour Hadi attacked Houthi insurgents in a push to drive them from the district. For its part, Saudi-led forces also made 4 airstrikes on a military base near the airport. It is worth recalling that the military coalition began airstrikes in Yemen on March 26th in a campaign to restore Yemeni President Abdurrabbu Mansour Hadi to power. Aden is Yemen's commercial hub. Its airport has been closed since fighting began, but its port provides sporadic access for desperately needed humanitarian aid to enter the country. Houthis and forces loyal to former President Ali Abdullah Saleh are concentrated around Aden's districts of Khor Maksar, Crater, and Muala. The fighting in Khor Maksar has killed 4 fighters and 15 Houthis so far, whereas intense air raids by the Arab Alliance were also reported overnight by residents of Saada province, which borders Saudi Arabia in northwestern Yemen. Raids also targeted a weapon storage site in Sana'a.
In the latest on the vexed Iranian nuclear file, Iran will not discuss the issue of inspection of its military sites in the ongoing nuclear talks with the world powers. Negotiators are committed to follow the decisive guideline of the Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Al-Khamenei, who recently rejected calls for the inspection of Iran's military site as part of the final nuclear deal. Iranian senior negotiator Arakshi told media outlets in Tehran.
With the top US and Iranian diplomats meeting Saturday in Geneva, 1 month before a deadline of a historical nuclear deal, demands of UN inspections of Iranian military bases appear to be becoming a problem. Tehran is not easy about letting foreigners go poking around such sites, saying that since no nuclear material is present, the International Atomic Energy Agency watchdog has no right to enter them. But the 6 powers negotiating with Iran want the agency to be able to visit them in order to investigate claims for any suspicious activities, past and future, that could indicate attempts to build a bomb. Last week, Supreme Leader Ayatollah Al-Khamenei said Tehran will not allow any inspections of military sites by foreigners or the interrogations of nuclear scientists by the Vienna-based International Atomic Energy Agency. France's Foreign Minister Laurent Fabius shot back on Wednesday, saying any deal without access to military sites will not be accepted. On April the 2nd, Iran and the P5+1, the United States, China, Russia, France, Britain and Germany, agreed to the main outlines of a deal that they hope will end the long-running crisis over Iran's nuclear program. Diplomats as well as technical and legal experts have been working hard in Vienna and elsewhere since then to turn the outline into a final accord by June the 30th. If it can be finalized, the deal will see Iran dramatically scale down its nuclear activities to make any dash to make a bomb virtually impossible.
The United States has called for an immediate and lasting halt to land reclamation in disputed areas of the South China Sea. U.S. Defense Secretary Ashton Carter said that China's actions in the area were out of step with international rules, as he put it.
The United States has condemned China's land reclamation in the South China Sea, saying it is out of step with international rules. Defense Secretary Ash Carter called for an immediate and lasting halt of the works, which was immediately slammed as groundless and not constructive by a Chinese military officer in the audience of the annual Shangri-La Dialogue, an international security conference in Singapore on Saturday. Carter said that the U.S. wants a peaceful resolution for all disputes. To that end, there should be an immediate and lasting halt to the land reclamation by all claimants. Carter's comments came as defense officials revealed that China had put 2 large artillery vehicles on one of the artificial islands it's creating on the South China Sea. The discovery made at least several weeks ago fuels fears in the US and across Asia Pacific that China will use the land reclamation project for military purposes. Last week, the Chinese military ordered the US Navy P-8 Poseidon surveillance aircraft to leave an area above the heavily disputed Spratly Islands, but the US plane ignored the demand. China claims nearly all of the South China Sea on the basis of lines on Chinese maps published in the 1940s and looking at it in disputes with several Southeast Asian neighbors, including Vietnam, the Philippines and Malaysia.
The US president has declared a state of emergency in part of Texas stricken by floods following unprecedented rainfall. At least 24 people in the state are known to have died after 4 more bodies were found on Friday. Let's find out more details in the following report by Karim Faz-Zakri.
President Obama has declared a state of emergency in parts of Texas stricken by floods following unprecedented rainfall. At least 24 people in the state are known to have died after 4 more bodies were found on Friday. The overall death toll is approaching 30, following the storms which struck the north of Texas on Thursday and Friday. In Dallas, thousands of motorists were stuck for hours when a suburban freeway became blocked by flood water. There have been evacuations in several Texas towns, including Wharton, about 100 kilometers southwest of Houston, where around 900 people along the Colorado River were forced to leave their homes. Hundreds of people have called for emergency help or spent nights in evacuation shelters.
I have like comforters, towels, and all kind of little items and stuff I need, my Bibles and junky, but something I need when,
Some people's homes have been ripped off their foundation and vehicles have floated away. The presidential declaration frees up federal funds to help the state recover. As yet, there is no estimate for the damage in Texas. The priority still being to get people in flood-prone areas to safety.
And to wrap it up now, let's move to the city of light, Paris, where foreign tourists are disappointed by the turn-in events in the city of lovers. The unexpected decision by the mayor of Paris to remove the locks from the art bridge over the River Seine on Monday has saddened couples who flocked to the French capital to leave evidence of their everlasting love.
Tourists from all over the world flock to the Pont des Arts bridge spanning the Seine River to attach a lock representing their eternal love and throw the key into the river. But the now iconic bridge is buckling under the weight of such devotion, and authorities are desperate to stop the craze.
I think it's awful.
I don't want it to be removed.
No.
I think it should stay here forever.
People come here to Paris to do that, so I think it's a great way to show that Paris is the city of love, and it's a symbol of that.
Last year, police hurriedly ushered tourists off the Pont des Arts when a section of the footbridge collapsed under the weight of the logs covering the 155-meter-long bridge. Plastic panels were put up in places to deter lovebirds, and authorities launched a drive to get tourists to upload selfies instead of attaching a lock. But nothing stands in the way of true love, and tourists have kept piling the locks on the bridge and elsewhere. The Pont de l'Archevêché bridge in front of the Notre-Dame Cathedral is now as inundated with locks, while stray locks can often be spotted around the city. Deploring destruction of heritage and a security risk for tourists on the overloaded Pont des Arts, Paris officials have decided enough is enough and will remove all locks from Monday. The metal grills of the bridge will be replaced with works of art over the summer and will later be replaced with clear panels. Juilliard said that they want Paris to remain the capital of love and romance, adding a campaign encouraging lovers to express their love in different ways, such as the Selfie Initiative would get underway soon. While the trend of attaching locks to the Pont des Arts began in 2008, the problem is not unique to Paris. It is unclear where the idea of using the lock ritual to symbolize love originated, but the padlocks bearing lovers' initials have spread from European capitals to as far as Marrakesh or China.
And with love, we end today's news brought to you from Dzair News Channel. Thank you for stopping by.